Hey guys, welcome back to the Espresso Outlet YouTube channel. My name is Barrett, and today you can tell that the bar has something a little bit smaller on it than usual. A lot of these big prosumer machines, they take up quite a bit of space. But today I wanted to introduce to you the Legato espresso machine. It is a new espresso machine to the market. It is one that we've worked with the manufacturer and just done some really nice tweaks to it. So I wanted to go through some of the features of this machine, see who it might be for, and just highlight how cool this thing is. So really on the market, anything comparable to this machine is probably like a Breville machine. Breville makes pretty nice espresso machines. They have a really nice following, but there are a few things that I feel like they are kind of like lacking on. So as we go through this machine today, I want to just point out like why I'm so excited about this. So it is in the sub $500 range, at least at the moment. That's always subject to change, but at the point of this video, so it's a really sweet price point. It is just value packed. So you can see right off the bat, we have like a PID controller. It's really easy to change. This is a single boiler machine with a thermoblock heat. So I call that the poor man's dual boiler, and why that's so cool. And a lot of even like really expensive machines are going to this. So think of like the Quick Mill Savannah Evo. It is a single boiler machine, but it has a thermoblock for your steam. So why is that cool? You don't have to have two big boilers. You don't have to heat two big boilers. You don't need this massive machine. You're getting the thermal stability of a PID and a single boiler without the heat exchanger, and then you're able to immediately go to steam just by turning it on. And if you're not familiar with what a thermoblock is, I explain it to people. It's kind of like a tankless water heater. It has an element inside. It does take a few seconds to heat the water, but we're talking you're ready to go within 2 to 3 seconds. You're not having to preheat that water in a big boiler. So really cool stuff here. You do have 2 programmable shot times, so these are just really easy to program. Just hold down the button. You can store that, or you can do it in like a manual mode. At the top there's a power button, and they're all illuminated, so it really does look nice on your counter. There is a small pressure gauge down at the bottom. Works really good for your shot pressures. And then you have a removable water tank in the back. This lifts off, holds quite a bit of water. I forget, I think it's 1.7 liters. Really easy to clean. And just plop it on the back. This is stainless steel design, so pretty nice exterior. You're obviously not getting like that $3,000 heavy stainless steel, but it is a nice stainless steel, I feel like. And it doesn't take up just loads of room on your counter. So you can see right next to it, this is the DF64 Gen 1. Just side by side, it's wider than the DF64, but just very comparable in height. So it's gonna fit underneath your countertop. If you have an 18-inch countertop, you have plenty of room. And it's really not that heavy to where if you needed to pull it out to fill up the water tank, that's not a big deal. So even though it does look fairly simple machine, the one thing that really gets me the most excited is the portafilter. And the reason for that is all your accessories that fit in a standard 58mm portafilter, like your tampers, you can find pretty much anywhere, it fits in this machine. So this is the portafilter that it comes with, and you can see it fits in like so. Really quite nice portafilter. If you're looking to upgrade your baskets, all your baskets for like IMS, VST, they all fit into this, so really no problem there. And if you're wanting to run something like a bottomless, like right here, you can just buy a bottomless, and it's gonna integrate just really easily. So that's always been one thing with the Breville machines, with the 54mm. The market for 54mm accessories has really grown. I feel like people prefer the 58 because it gives you a little bit more room to work with. It gives you a couple more basket options, even though the basket options are really growing for the Breville machines. But just overall, I think this is probably the one thing that a lot of people are gonna be really excited about is the larger portafilter. So let's get this grinder dialed in. We're gonna pull a quick shot. I'm just gonna show you kind of how the machine works real quick, and then we'll wrap it up. Now I will say, make sure to hit subscribe and like, because this is only machine number 1 of 3. So I have another one behind me, and I'm getting the 3rd one here soon. This is kind of the middle tier machine, so there is one that's gonna be slightly less expensive. And then there's gonna be a more premium model that is, it's quite a bit more expensive, but really for what you're getting, is pretty exciting. It kind of reminds me of like the L'Espacial Dream. So just make sure to subscribe and check back. Let's get this going. All right, so I kind of got some things set up. I have 18 grams of beans pre-weighed. So we're gonna put them in our DF64 Gen 1, grind them. This has the HE burrs in it in case you're curious. Usually have a little tilter on it, but that's fine. And then we have our 58 millimeter portafilter. Now this is the stock portafilter that comes with the machine. And I typically like to just wipe out any moisture that might be in there just from a hot machine. And I have used this portafilter a few times just to make sure that we're dialed in. If you'd like, you can do WDT. I typically like to use a WDT on like the DF64s just because it's not going directly into the portafilter and it's more of just like a distribution than a breaking up of the clumps. So I like to just distribute it out and then we're going to hand tamp it. So pretty nice clean tamp right there. And I'm gonna move the camera so that you can see it a little closer. So I don't want it so close that you can't see some of the things going on here, but I'll try to zoom in and you can see the shot a little bit clearer. So this does have the dual spout portafilter, comes standard with it. It has quite a decent clearance underneath the spouts. If you were to use maybe like a bottomless, you're gonna have even more room. I typically like a bottomless, just I feel like they're a little bit cleaner because when you're using one of the smaller cups, it's really hard to get it all into that smaller cup. You can use maybe like a latte cup too. So we'll put that in there and center it. As you can tell, it's set on 95C. I think that's like 203 degrees Fahrenheit. Maybe a little warm for some of your lighter roast, but it should be pretty good for us today. But as I start this, I want you to watch that. It's actually gonna turn into a shot timer. So I mentioned early on in this video that this machine has just loads of value. You're getting a lot of really cool stuff in this machine. So let's start it. And this is just a manual shot. I don't have one programmed at the moment. Dialing in this grinder and some different beans today. It's really not too hard to reprogram. So you can see it counting up. Let's try to pan down. We're at about 25 seconds. We'll let it run. So really cool. Then it just goes back to your PID. Now if you wanted to change that temperature, you just hold down. It takes a second to register. Now I don't have any milk with me today, but if you were to do some milk, we'll just do it into the drip tray for now. As soon as you turn this, it's going to turn the thermoblock on. You can hear it starting to feed water in. And within a few seconds, you're getting a nice amount of steam. I do want to note that when we got the first version of this machine, I felt like the thermoblock was a bit small. So we went back to the manufacturer and we asked them to put in a bigger thermoblock. And as a beginner learning how to steam milk, I found this very easy to use. That was just me. I'm not very good at steaming milk. I don't do a lot of milk. It makes me cough real bad, so I just try to avoid it. But as I use this to steam milk, I found it extremely easy. So if this is like a beginner machine for you, I think you're gonna actually be very pleased at how tameable the steam is. And some of these just big professional machines, there is so much steam and it's really hard to learn on. So just to do a quick recap on this, this is gonna be sub $500. It's stainless steel. It has the single boiler machine, but also has a thermoblock for steam. Has the built-in PID for your brew boiler. It has a manual shot and a time shot function. It does have a pressure gauge so that you can see how many, what's it in? It's in bars, so making sure it was in bars. How many bars your shot is pulling. It's not actually a pressure gauge for the boiler, it's for your shot. And I think that's gonna be much more helpful for a lot of people. It does have the built-in shot timer, which I find extremely helpful. And then last but not least, you have all your 58mm accessories. So you can see off to the side here, we have like some bottomless portafilters. You have just a huge array of tampers. It's so much easier to find 58mm stuff than it is like 54 and 53. Aftermarket like VST baskets, IMS baskets, your Pullman baskets, anything that you want to put into these portafilters, they're going to fit. Or you can just have multiple portafilters. And it's going to work in this machine as long as they're 58mm with the straight ears. If you have any questions about that, you can reach out. Let's try this shot real quick. Pretty good and tasty. It's nice and toasty. Very cinnamony undertones. So that is the new espresso machine at Espresso Outlet. Now, I did mention earlier in this video that this is number 1 of 3. This is kind of the middle range. There's going to be one that's slightly less expensive and one that is, it's about double the price. Just make sure to check back on those. If you're in the market for a new machine, you're considering something like a Breville or a Gaja. I mean, those are cool machines. I just feel like this one is going to offer a lot more for your money. That's just me personally. I got it out and I put it next to my Quick Mill Vetrano, and I just pulled side-by-side shots with the same grinder. And I was very impressed with this machine, like extremely impressed. So if you haven't hit subscribe and like, please do so now. Check back soon because we're gonna have a lot of cool new stuff coming. Appreciate you watching. Thanks.